Eddie, Donald Trump, how are you?
Hi, Mr. Trump. Good to hear from you. How are you?
Good. I'm sorry I'm late. I've been so busy, you can imagine. It's been brutal.
Oh, I'm sure I can imagine.
Okay,
All right,
Eddie, let's
but,
go. Thank you for
all right, let's go.
doing me so nicely and professionally. I really appreciate it, too.
Of course, and since it's been a while since I talked to you, I'd say congratulations on your very impressive win. But let's go ahead and get started. Just a couple news topical things. What is it you're expecting to get out of the convention speakers? Because I saw the list today. What do you want to get out of that?
Well, we've got really good speakers. We have a lot of winners. When you have Dana White and you have some of the people that we have on, Franklin Graham is going to be speaking, and so many different people. We have Bobby Knight, Coach Knight, who helped me so much in Indiana and elsewhere. I don't know. I think it's a really great group of speakers. I think that in the end, we want to get inspiration. We want people to be inspired. We want to make America great again. We want to make America first. And, that's largely what the theme is and largely what we're going to be talking about.
I noticed that Sarah Palin wasn't on the list. Did she not ask for a speaking role?
No, she was asked. It's a little bit difficult because of where she is. We love Sarah. A little bit difficult because of, it's a long ways away. But Sarah will always be with us, and Sarah is involved and very much involved in the campaign.
Okay, great. Kind of a silly question. Do you happen to play the Pokemon Go game that so many people are playing on their phones?
I don't, but people are playing it, no question about it. I do not. I wish I had time.
Next, what do you think about the sexual harassment accusations against Roger Ailes?
I think they are unfounded, just based on what I've read. Totally unfounded, based on what I read.
All right. A couple things looking forward and about you and your candidacy. Talk to me about the overarching philosophy you have about government and what its role is in the country. Should it be more active in people's lives, or should it be more hands-off?
Much more hands-off, but much more active in terms of trade, much more active in terms of making our military strong. Our military is very depleted, and it's embarrassing what's going on with our military in terms of its depletion. And we want to make it much more, we want to have a much more powerful military and ideally never have to use it.
Something that's been fascinating about your campaign, the things you've said, the things you've had. You were born in New York. You spent your life there. You were born pretty comfortably into money. What is it that inspires you and animates your views on trade? Those views you've held for a long time. We see them over decades. They're very pro-worker. Don't let other countries rip us off. That attitude. What inspired that? Where does that come from?
Well, I've always been pro-worker because I grew up with workers. Workers were my friends, carpenters and plumbers and policemen. And, I'd be on a job site where my father would build houses, and I'd be working there as a young boy. And even when I got out of college or when I was, during different times, I'd always be working there. I got to know the carpenters, the plumbers. I got to know the sheetrockers, and they were my friends. And somehow I relate very well to them. I always have, and that's what you're seeing. Even the unions, the big unions, the Teamsters are going to vote for Donald Trump, even if the bosses, the leaders of the union don't, because they always go Democrat. But one of the top people in the Teamsters said, "Boy, if we endorse the Democrats, it's going to be tough because, all of our people want to vote for Trump." I've employed thousands and thousands of Teamsters over the years. Ridiculous to be, supporting anybody else. But the leaders have always gone that way, and you watch what happens with unions. We're going to get the vote.
Okay, and you do say that you identify as a conservative, but you also say on the other hand that you don't like labels. What is it that makes you conservative? Well,
I never like labels, but I'm a conservative person, but I never like labels. But I'm a Republican and a conservative. But I was never one for labels. I want great trade deals. Some people would say my views on trade aren't conservative. I would say they're much more conservative than anybody else's because they're going to be phenomenal deals for our country. And I do believe in free trade, and I don't believe in isolation. But we have to make great deals. We have horrible deals right now. Money is being drained out of our country, and jobs are being drained out of our country. And I'm going to stop that, and I'm going to bring back jobs and good-paying jobs.
And we know that your family plays a really big role in your business, your private business right now. Would you consider putting family members, close ones or distant ones, in your White House?
Well, I think about it. I have some very capable people in my family, but really, that's not where I'm at right now. What I want to do is, they'll run my business. I built a great business over the years. It's a phenomenal business, and they'll stay and run the business, and they'll have 100% control. I'll have nothing to do with the business because I'll be focused on one thing, and that's what I've already said. We're going to be focused on making a great situation for this country. We're going to make a great, great situation for this country. We're going to bring our country back. Hold it 1 second, Eddie.
Sure.
Hello? Hey, Larry. Larry, hold it for a second, will you? Hey, Larry, call me back in 5, okay? Hello? I'm sorry, Eddie. Go ahead.
Okay, we'll get through this. It won't be too much longer. All right, when people talk about Hillary's poll numbers, how she's a bit ahead of you, but in some of them, they're much more even.
Did you see the polls today? The new Muslim poll. I think I'm up 7.
I did see that, and so the polls are a little bit mixed. But a lot of times when she was ahead, you would like to say you hadn't even started on her yet. Have you started on her now?
I haven't started. I really haven't. I mean, she spent $100 million already on negative ads, which are, by the way, totally false ads. They are so false. These ads. They're such lies, so horrible. Just like she lied with her email, she's lying on the ads. But, what can you do? She's going to spend, it's the only chance she's got. She's got to spend a lot of money on ads because her career is a total sham. What happened to her recently with the emails is a disgrace. And why other people have to pay a price and she doesn't is a horrible situation for this country. A horrible situation. And I'm doing very well in the polls, but I won't be starting until right after the convention. I guess you could say we'll start during the convention, but we're really going to get it in gear right after the convention. We're doing really well. We got as you know, Eddie, we got the highest number of votes, almost 14 million votes in the history of the Republican Party during the primaries by a lot. And that's with 17 candidates. We won with 17 candidates. So, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a really exciting election. I think it's going to be a very special election. I think it's going to be a very important election. And the last thing we need is another 4 years of Barack Obama, where ISIS is kicking us around, where healthcare is in terrible shape, where, it's just it's been a disastrous period of time. People do not want 4 more years, and Hillary Clinton will be worse than him.
How does it affect you when you read news reports, you read it on the op-ed pages and in other places, when you're called a racist, when you're called a sexist, how does that emotionally affect you?
Well, I hate it, but there's nothing much you can do about it because the press is as dishonest a group of people. Not everybody, not you, not everybody, but we have very dishonest people. And when you're a Republican conservative, no matter what you've done, I mean, they've taken stories that I've done that should have been great stories and made them bad stories. Things I've said that were perfectly stated, perfectly. I mean, I was a good student at top schools, and I know how to speak, and I know what's good, and I know when I make a mistake. But they've taken things where perfectly stated things and made them sound bad. These are very, very dishonest people, and I let the public know it, and I think it has an impact.
You said after the Orlando shooting that you would be a better friend of the gays than Hillary is. You said you're a friend of the gays. Do you have personally close gay friends? And if you do, what is it that they tell you about your campaign?
Well, I thought the Orlando shootings were horrible. I thought it was a disgrace. And that was not only an attack on the country, it was really an attack on the LGBT community. It was an attack on really, if you look at the LGBT community, if you really look at what's going on there, that was an attack. It was an attack on the gay community, Eddie. And it was so sad. It was so sad to see it. But that was, as much as it was an attack on the country, it was an attack on the gay community. And I thought it was just a horrible thing. And do
you have personally close gay friends?
Excuse me?
Do you personally have close gay friends? And what did they tell you about your campaign?
Yeah. Yes, I do have gay friends, yes.
Do they say anything to you about your campaign and the way you've run it?
They actually support me. They actually support me. They know me. They know my heart. They know me, and they actually support me.
All right. Tell me what the biggest difference and the challenge that you're facing between running through the primary. You had all those competitors, rivals, coming into the general. What's the biggest challenge you're facing, or biggest challenges?
I think the press is much more dishonest now. When I was running against other conservatives, the press disliked many of us, me more than most. But now, hold it. Let me just see what they're. Can I just watch this for a second? I have this. Tomorrow and say John Kasich is my running mate. Highly unlikely, but you can never count Trump out for raising. Hey, some other news too regarding the Republican National Convention next week. Hold on 1 second. Who some of the prominent speakers are going to be. Here's a quick look at. We've got some great speakers. They're just announcing the speakers now. All right, let's get this finished up, Eddie.
All right, we're just about done. So tell me what the biggest challenges you're facing, other than the press. You say it's more dishonest than most. Other challenges you're facing going from the primary to the general.
Well, it's just everything's bigger. The amount of press, the calls, the interviews, the level of attention, the attention to detail. It's all bigger. It's just a bigger version. But I would say the press is much more hostile now than they were, and that's because of the fact that, they want to see a liberal who's really become much more liberal. She's really been dragged very, very far to the left, and they want to see that very much more so than they want to see a Republican and certainly a Republican conservative. So I think that made a big difference.
All right, just got one more for you. A lot of people think that running for office and being, especially in an office like the presidency, you have to take criticism from the media and you have to be thoughtful about it, and that's just part of the job. But obviously we see a different approach. You strike back a lot. You call it dishonest. Are you able to take criticism and be thoughtful about it, and do you agree with that?
Yeah, totally I can. I don't mind criticism, and when I do something wrong, I will, I have no objection to people pointing it out, and I can handle that well. But when you don't do something wrong and they write false stories purposely, knowing that they're false stories, that's something else. And what I do is I fight back. In other words, instead of it just letting go and everybody says, oh, well, just let it go, I don't believe in letting it go. I think we should have things corrected and have the record corrected. And the great thing about me is I have a voice where people are listening, and I'm able to correct the record when they are dishonest, but they're dishonest much of the time. And I talk about the dishonesty of the media, and I think it's very important to do so.
All right, well, that's about it. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm going to see you in Cleveland, and good luck out there.
Good, Eddie. I'll see you there. We'll do another one, okay?
All right, have a good one.
Thank you very much, Eddie. Take care of yourself. Bye.
Bye-bye.